Ladies and gentlemen, was it worth it? Was it worth it? We'll be right back in 30 seconds to talk about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the scoreboard keepers. You're around here, we don't keep receipts. We keep the score. So if you want to get on the board, make your point. If it makes sense, we'll add it to the board. If it don't, we won't. Scoreboard keepers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. I am your host, the Ref, and this is only going to take 10 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, right? You know what's crazy? That last night, the Philadelphia 76ers lost to Tobias Harris and the Detroit Pistons. Tobias Harris and the Detroit Pistons. Ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia 76ers are a complete expansion team at this point. They're a complete expansion team. It has to be the worst organization in sports. It has to be. It absolutely has to be. They made all these all-season moves for what? They have a backup team that can't win a game. They just got one win in Indiana over the weekend, but that has nothing to do with the way that they look on the floor. We're NBA fans around here, so when we see things going on, we bring it up here to Scoreboard Keepers and we put it on the board, and we don't have any favorites around here. We call it like we see it. We don't keep receipts, we keep the score. That's what we do around here. Somehow, in the city of Philadelphia, a blue-collar town, right? Somehow, some way, with all the great athletes that's come through that city, somehow, some way, they seem like they have gone soft. How in the world can you possibly allow these players, that organization, to continue to put subpar performances out on the floor and nobody being held accountable? Where the hecklers at? Philadelphia is a hardcore town. It's a hardcore town. No nonsense. They're not going to allow you to run game on them. They're not going to allow you to do that. And that's exactly what the Philadelphia 76ers are doing, lying to their fan base. They're telling you something, and then they're putting a different product out on the floor. Look, Charles Barkley, Darryl Dawkins, Moses Malone, Dr. J, Maurice Cheeks, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry Stackhouse, Andre Iguodala. You Drew Holiday. Yes, Drew Holiday. You got to be, you have people that are just coming through that organization and going other places and winning championships. You got, between Drew Holiday and Andre Iguodala, they got more rings than Dr. J. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing, people. That's embarrassing. Andre Iguodala and Drew Holiday have more rings than Charles Barkley. They got more rings than Moses Malone. They got more rings than Darryl Dawkins. Let me tell you something. This organization, they need to clean house in there. They need to clean house. They need to send a yellow bus down there, and they need to pick up everybody in there and get them out of there. They need to get everybody out of there. Why? Because you got a player there, right? That just signed a 3-year, $192 million contract, right? 3 years. So by the time he gets done with this contract, he would have made $514 million. And he can't give you $50 load management out the gate. You telling me that there's nothing in his contract that holds him accountable for coming into the season in the camp ready to play? You telling me you don't have the structure in his contract that in order for him to get paid, he has to come to camp ready to play and be ready to play in game one after playing in the Olympics and having 3 months off? You didn't find that a little odd that he put the Olympics in a gold medal before his regular job where he's getting paid? He wanted to go on vacation in France and come back here to his fan base that works hard as hell in a blue collar city. And they come there the first game to see the product that's been put on the floor and all the offseason moves, and he's not ready to go. You got to be kidding me. Ain't no way in hell I could come here in the first game and sit and watch my team struggle without me. Willis, read it. You making $514 million, and guess what? Nobody cares about these injuries anymore. Nobody cares. You better get out there and play. Saving for what? Another second round bump by the Boston Celtics? You want to sit around and play around with that? You want to play around and mess around and be in that 5th, 6th seed and have to go play Milwaukee on the road? Cleveland, who's 5-0 right now? Indiana Pacers again, who was shorthanded when you beat them the other day? You sure you want to play around with that? You signed Paul George to a $212 million contract? To a $212 million contract, so you got both of these jokers till 2028 at least, and 2029? Are you kidding me? He was averaging 21.5 points a game. 21.5 points a game. If I pay somebody $212 million, I want 30. Are you listen, you cannot tell me that this team is sitting around waiting on two people and thinking that they're going to turn it on like a light switch and all of a sudden everything going to be okay. When they're sitting around watching somebody that's going to be making $500 and some million that can't even get on the doggone floor for the first week of the NBA season. Boston Celtics looking like playoff form right now. Indiana Pacers looking like playoff form right now. Dallas Mavericks looking like playoff form right now. Minnesota Timberwolves looking like playoff form right now. You listen, there's some hot teams out here right now that's looking like they're after what Denver Nuggets had. Look like they're after what the Boston Celtics had. And then they sitting around here talking about, well, we got a load management. We want to be healthy for the playoffs. Who guaranteeing you any playoffs? I saw what the Knicks did to you. Who's guaranteeing you any playoffs? Who said that you're a playoff team? Or you just took it for granted that you're going to make the playoffs just because you think it's supposed to happen? No. Players go out there and they win games. Listen, to the Philadelphia fans, look, let me tell you something. To the city of Philadelphia, this is an absolute joke. I've never known Philly to go for any of this nonsense. I've never known Philly to go for none of this. For none of this. You can't run game on nobody in Philly. You can't do that. You need to get out there and play. At this point with your track record, listen, nobody cares. It's 1 minute it's the face. It's the crying in Toronto. It's all. Listen, nobody care about you. Nobody care about what's going on in that. Get out there and play. You could play in the Olympics. You could play now. If you that injured, go ahead and call it quits, man. Go ahead and call it quits. Go ahead and call it quits. You're in no way in the world. It's no way in the world, ain't no excuse that anybody can tell me that a player can have a full off season and come in this to almost having 6 months off and not be ready to go. There ain't no excuse that nobody can tell me. First of all, I'm putting that rate in your contract. You don't come to camp and getting ready to talk about ramping up. You're supposed to have ramped up in the off season. You don't play in pickup leagues. So what is going on? What is going on? There's no excuse that you should be able to tell a Philly fan these people work hard for their money. They pay for and then they learn on the way to the game and right prior to the game that the tickets that they bought and the people that they came to see are not playing that night. What an insult. What an insult to a blue collar town. What an insult. What a slap in the face. There ain't nowhere in the world. I've never known Philly to go for this. I've never known Philly to go for this. And they need to hold them players accountable. They need to hold everybody accountable. Get out there on the floor, play hurt. Willis Reed did. Allen Iverson was the smallest person in the doggone league besides Muggsy Bogues, coming out there playing amongst them trees in a hacking league. And he came out there every night. I know he was hurt. But Bubba Chuck gave you all. And they over here talking about some load management as if Rick Mahorn and Charles Barkley. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, that's my 10 minutes, but I still got something to say. Rick Mahorn and Charles Barkley, the round mound of rebound, them dudes was tough. They came out and played every night. They came out and played. And these dudes out here talking about load management. When these people out here buying these doggone tickets, man, don't nobody care nothing about that. So what, you got a little pain in your knee, man? Go play. Take some Advil. Take some Advil. Throw a brace on, man. Like, that's just ridiculous, man, pampering these players, man, in the city of Philadelphia. You got to be kidding me. You make too much money to come in not ready to go. Between the two of these guys right here, you got $700 million and no rings. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, people, when you pay somebody to do a job, you don't want to hear that the dog ate their homework. You don't want to hear that traffic was bad. You don't want to hear none of that. $700 million, you better get out here and play. I need my return on my investment. You just put $700 million in two players that don't have a ring to first. Their hands are empty. Drew Holiday, who played for the Sixers drafted Drew Holiday. He got more rings than the both of them. Andre Iguodala has more rings than the both of them. Sixers drafted Andre Iguodala. I believe between the two of them, they got 6 world titles. People going other. I'm going to give y'all a stat before I go. I'm going to just tell you this, right? This is what I'm going to do for y'all. I'm going to drop a little gem on y'all. Y'all remember Jaden Springer? The Sixers drafted Jaden Springer a few years back, and then they got rid of him. Who would have ever thought that Jaden Springer would have a world championship ring before Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons? That's my 10 minutes. I'm going to leave it at that. Philadelphia, I'm going to give you a little food for thought. Jaden Springer has a world championship ring on his finger right now before Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and Paul George. You guys have a nice night. God bless. If you want to see more of this content, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Philadelphia 76ers just got to be the worst organization in sports. And if I was, and they need to take a bus down there and they need to clean house. 41 years since they've won a title. 41 years they couldn't figure it out. 41 years. Their last title was in 1983. People have come and people have died since that time, and the Sixers still haven't won. Pathetic.